Today is December 15th, 2022, and this is your daily Half-Life 3 update. There is no news about Half-Life 3. So let me just go over the timeline of events here to make sure I have everything correct. First you had Man of Steel, then you had Batman v Superman, then Justice League. Now Justice League is the last time we see Henry Cavill as Superman. This is of course excluding Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League, which was vastly superior to Joss Whedon's version in almost every way. But, yeah, so we go several years with this kind of like limbo of not knowing what's going on with Henry Cavill as Superman. There's talks of a Man of Steel 2. There's talks of an unrelated Superman movie with potentially Michael B. Jordan playing the role of Superman. But we don't know what's going on with Henry Cavill as Superman, right? Eventually they make Shazam. There is a neck down cameo of Superman. It's intended to be Henry Cavill's Superman, but it's very much not him. They don't see his face. He's not on set or anything like that. Eventually Henry Cavill gets cast as the main character in the Witcher TV show on Netflix, which I've not seen. I have no intention of seeing. I haven't played the games or read the books or whatever. It's kind of irrelevant to this. And then you get Peacemaker, and spoiler alert for Peacemaker, there are some Justice League cameos at the end of Peacemaker, at the end of Season 1. Now, again, it's not Henry Cavill, but it's very much meant to be Henry Cavill's Superman, even though he is not actually, you don't see his face, he's not on set, right? And then you get Black Adam, which is being spearheaded by Dwayne Johnson. For whatever reason, he's been trying to get this movie made for 20 years, right? Sure. And he's hyping this movie up. No one is more excited for Black Adam than Dwayne Johnson. He's pushing it. This is phase 1 of the new DCEU. It's going to change everything. It's going to set everything off. And he kind of strong arms Warner Brothers, apparently, to get Henry Cavill back for a cameo in the post-credit scenes of Black Adam, which, spoiler alert, if you care about Black Adam, no one cared about Black Adam. No one was excited about Black Adam. No one really wanted this movie that much. But, yeah, right? Dwayne Johnson abused his power, basically, to get Black Adam, some vanity ego project of his, and had Henry Cavill as Superman in it. So, officially back as Superman Henry Cavill. And then, sometime after that happens, Henry Cavill announces that he is back for Superman. They're going to potentially make a Man of Steel 2. Meanwhile, Black Adam is bombing at the box office. Dwayne Johnson's trying to lie and say it isn't, but it's bombing at the box office, right? It made like $300 million. Venom 2 made more than that. So it's bombing in the box office. And eventually James Gunn is brought on to replace whoever was in charge of DC. James Gunn is now the person in charge of DC. Also, Henry Cavill leaves The Witcher, and Liam Hemsworth replaces him as the main character. And apparently this is just because The Witcher TV show sucks, and Henry Cavill is not a fan of the direction that it's going. Apparently the showrunners don't care about the books or games, they're just doing crap, which is always good. It's always good when you just blatantly ignore the source material of whatever you're making. That always works out. So yeah, Henry Cavill's out, Liam Hemsworth is in, which, whatever. And then now recently announced that no, Henry Cavill is not back as Superman. He's officially done as Superman, which kind of makes everything completely pointless. Because for several years, he was in this kind of limbo of what was going on, but it still seemed like they had every intention of maybe bringing him back at some point, because he was in, that Superman was in Shazam, and that Superman was in Peacemaker, to some extent, even though it was Henry Cavill, it at least had the appearance that people were hoping that people behind the scenes, people, the higher-ups, were hoping that potentially they could get Henry Cavill back. But it was all pointless, and it was all meaningless, and it doesn't really matter. And I don't really I don't really care at all. It seems like they're going to try and start as fresh as possible with the DCEU. Peacemaker Season 2 is going to happen. There's still some stuff that like leftover stuff. Peacemaker Season 2 is going to happen. Aquaman 2 is still happening. The Flash 2 is still happening. No, not the Flash 2, just the Flash. Blue Beetle is happening. I think that's it. And that's kind of like the dying regimes of the old DCEU. Like James Gunn even said basically that like Peacemaker Season 2 is gonna be like a legacy show. It's not gonna fit into anything. He's just kind of doing it to finish that off. But yeah. Wonder Woman 3 isn't gonna be happening. Man of Steel 2 isn't gonna be happening. Apparently, they want to get Jason Momoa out of the Aquaman character and put him into Lobo, which people say works a little better. I always felt like Jason Momoa as Aquaman was kind of overcompensation. They're like, well, Aquaman's kind of a lame character, so let's try and find the most badass actor possible to play Aquaman to overcompensate for how lame of a character Aquaman is. Which, okay, whatever. So, yeah. Now, where that leads Batman, I don't know, honestly. Apparently before James Gunn was brought on to be the head of everything, whoever was before him, they wanted to get rid of Rob Pattinson as Batman. They didn't want like 4 different Batmans. I think they were going to stick with maybe Michael Keaton. I don't know. I mean, we still got Michael Keaton in The Flash. You still got Ben Affleck in The Flash. Supposedly you have Ben Affleck in Aquaman 2 as well. And we have Joker 2 as well. The Joker and Harley Quinn, Lady Gaga movie, which is weird as well. So I don't know what's going on with Batman. That's what I'm going to be most curious about. If they're going to try and build this universe around Robert Pattinson's Batman, which they very well could do. I don't know how well that's going to work, especially because they're treating this as an even more grounded version than Christian Bale's Batman. So, I mean, people were skeptical of how Christian Bale's Batman could work if they, like, brought in Superman. I think Robert Pattinson's Batman would work even less. That was a positive of Ben Affleck's Batman, is that he does work very well with, like, the Superman and Aquaman and Wonder Woman stuff, the larger-than-life scale of the DCEU. But yeah, I feel like we're just never gonna know what's going on with the DCEU, because they just have plans momentarily. They have plans for the next year, okay, but before that year is even over, their plans change. So they're like halfway through their 1-year plan. So they got to change things up and make a new 1-year plan. But they still got the remnants of that first 1-year plan. I mean, we still haven't even gotten The Flash. And The Flash was supposed to be this big shaking things up, because it was going to, have multiple universes and do Flashpoint. And, like, I don't know, Ezra Miller's crazy. So then I don't even know what they're going to do with that at this point. Apparently there was supposed to be a Michael Keaton solo Batman movie that they also canceled. I haven't heard anything about that, but I just saw a headline for it. So I don't know what the hell's going on with the DCEU. At least, I don't know. I'm not really looking forward to any of the... I mentioned a bunch of movies coming. I'm not really looking forward to any of them. I might have been remotely interested in Batgirl just because Brendan Fraser was going to be in it, but that's not even happening anymore, because that's just out there. Don't even get me started on frickin' Sony. What do we got next for Sony? Craven? Got a Craven movie coming out, which... Okay. Madam Web. Madam Web looks promising. I like that cast. That's a good cast in Madam Web. And from what I'm hearing, the story could potentially be sounds intriguing at least. El Morto, I don't know what the hell that is. And then there's Venom 3, which of course I'm going to be very much looking forward to Venom 3. But yeah. And that has been your daily Half-Life 3 update for December 15th, 2022.